Our next presentation, Small Change, Big Impact, Healthy Eating for Adults, comes to you from the Rhode Island Geriatric Education Center at URI. We're joined by Kathi Masi, a retired family and consumer sciences teacher who enjoyed teaching culinary arts and wellness classes to high school students and is now focused on working with seniors, facilitating classes in healthy eating, performing food demonstrations, and volunteering for Farm Fresh Rhode Island. Good morning, Kathi. Next, we have Alexandra Morelli, a certified community health worker, CCHW, as well as a graduate of URI's Masters of Public Administration program and Rhode Island College's Healthcare Administration and Gerontology program. She coordinates educational programs for students, professionals, and community members at the Rhode Island Geriatric Education Center. Good morning, Allie. And we also have Sheryl Parente, a certified health and wellness coach, who is committed to educating and coaching individuals in both small community and corporate settings. As an individual with type 1 diabetes, she personally lives life knowing that food and lifestyle choices have a major impact on our health, passionately believing that there is so much we can do at any age to improve our health and well-being. Good morning, Sheryl.
Good morning.
Thank you, and we look forward to your presentation.
Great. Thank you, Randy, and thank you, everyone, for inviting us. And good morning. Happy Saturday. So today we are going to briefly talk about the Healthy Eating for Older Adults program. I'm going to start with an overview of the program. Sheryl is going to go into talking about MyPlate and the differences between MyPlate and then MyPlate for individuals with diabetes. And then Kathi is going to use what we learned about the MyPlate with a food demonstration. If you can see, she's in her lovely kitchen right now. So for anyone that's watching and wants to gather some things and hasn't had breakfast yet, this is your opportunity. So the Healthy Eating Workshop is a 6-week program that was developed by the Healthy Living Center for Excellence in Massachusetts. It's an evidence-based program, which means that it has been tested and proven for people that attend the workshop to have positive outcomes. So throughout the 6 weeks, and I should mention, it also is a free program that the Rhode Island Geriatric Education Center offers through our grant funding. And right now we are offering it on Zoom because of the pandemic. So throughout the 6 weeks, participants overall identify and learn ways to improve their heart and bone health. And this is through a goal setting and some of the content we discuss. There is a physical activity component. We discuss how to make healthy choices around the MyPlate, so using all of the MyPlate food groups, and how to create a well-balanced diet that also includes all the things we love, or all the things that I love, which are fats and sweets. So this is not a weight loss program. We talk about tools, how to use, the MyPlate to make healthier choices, or at least become aware of some of the choices that we're making. There's a topic on substituting recipes or modifying recipes. So if there's some recipes you really love, you love your chocolate cake, you have it once a week, how can you make that chocolate cake a little bit healthier? For recipes that you might have just once a year, indulge, that's okay. So we are not telling you what to eat or what not to eat, but we're just giving you some tools and you can take what you like. It's a group setting program, judgment-free zone. All of our classes are judgment-free. And another thing that we talk about is label reading. So I think any of us that do food shopping or just have looked at a label, they can be very overwhelming. So we talk about some, tools on how to read food labels and some best practices for that. We do some menu planning. A lot of people find food prep helpful when managing or trying to eat a healthier diet. And we also do a grocery shopping best practices activity. We've just recently, we're partnering with Dave's Supermarket. We had a registered dietitian come out and talk about Dave. So there's lots of fun opportunities on Zoom that we didn't necessarily have in person before. So trying to look at the positive. And finally, one of the great opportunities of this program is you're able to ask a registered dietitian some questions you might have. So Kathi and Sheryl are two of our program facilitators, and they have a wealth of knowledge, but they aren't registered dietitians. So if you have more specific questions, we do partner with some faculty at the University of Rhode Island and the Lifespan Community Health Institute, and we're able to work those registered dietitians, and you can ask any questions, and this is all at no cost. So that's the workshop overview, and I'm going to let Sheryl talk about the MyPlate.
Hey, so hi everyone. As Ali said, my name is Sheryl, and I lead the healthy eating along with the chronic disease self-management, otherwise known as Tools for Healthy Living workshops for Own Your Health. So in both of these workshops, we focus on making and sustaining small changes one step at a time. So we strongly believe, and as Ali said, these evidence-based programs have shown that taking these small steps can just create a big healthy impact. So one component of the workshops, which is the foundation of our healthy eating program, is MyPlate. So the MyPlate model is used as a guide to help balance our meals. It's a great way to incorporate a variety of foods and nutrients throughout our days and our week. Another benefit of MyPlate is that you can easily cater MyPlate to your own eating style. So this plate, just as you can see on your screen, here's our guide. It's based on a 9-inch plate. And so I'm going to briefly review each of the food groups, and then we're going to compare it to a model called Create Your Plate, created by the American Diabetes Association. And this plate will be for people who are at risk for diabetes or have been diagnosed with diabetes. And we'll talk about some of the difference between the standard MyPlate and the plate for diabetes. So we're going to start off with the fruits and veggies group. So as you can see on your screen, MyPlate is divided in half, and then it's divided into smaller sections. So a strong suggestion is to make half of your plate fruits and veggies. The suggestion is to eat a colorful variety of those fruits and veggies. It's important because each of the colors represent different vitamins and minerals. Fruits and veggies contain fiber, and they're generally low in calories. So pairing each meal or snack that you have, making half of your plate fruits or vegetables is a great healthy place to start. So with focus on whole fruits, it's always suggested to choose whole fruits, but frozen options and canned options are also great choices. If you're choosing a frozen option, just be careful that it's not sitting in any type of sugar or sauce. Frozen fruit is great to add to things like oatmeal, plain yogurt, or a smoothie. If you're choosing a canned option, just be sure it's in 100% of its natural juice. And again, not sitting in any syrup, as they tend to contain high amounts of sugar. So a focus on vegetables, again, frozen and canned options are great choices. Just be careful of the sodium. If you're choosing a frozen option, just be sure it's not sitting in any type of a heavy sodium sauce. It should really only contain that veggie. If you're choosing a canned vegetable option, again, just take notice to the sodium and choose a low sodium or no sodium canned vegetable. They're easy to add to salads, to side dishes, or a main dish. Again, the suggestion is to choose a variety of colors so you're getting a variety of different nutrients, and then prepare them in a healthy way. So the healthiest ways that are suggested are steamed, sauteed, roasted, or raw. Those are all great options for consuming veggies. So the other half of the plate, you can see it divided into the grain section and the protein section, and then there's a little portion of dairy. So when you're choosing grains, it's highly suggested to make most of your grains whole grains. And ingredients are listed in weight from most to least on an ingredient label. So when you're choosing grains, just one little tip, just be sure that that grain is the first or second item on that ingredient list. Things such as bread, or if you're choosing crackers, you want to look for that whole grain to be the first or second item. A couple of other suggestions for whole grains: Oatmeal is a great option. Popcorn is a whole grain, so you can indulge a little bit. Whole grain breads and crackers, brown rice, and then also quinoa, farro, those are also great grains, and you can replace them as you would use rice. So you can use those in things like stir fries and soups. So moving on to the protein section, again, include a variety of protein. The focus is on lean protein and plant-based sources. So include things like seafood, beans, black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans are great choices. Unsalted nuts and seeds, things like chia and flax seeds, you kind of get a big bang for your buck. Healthy fats, fiber, and protein. I like to add those to things like yogurt and oatmeal and smoothies, but also peanut butter and nut butters are a great source of protein, eggs, and then again, lean meats and poultry. Okay, and then you can see off to the side in the blue group is the dairy. And the suggestion for dairy is to choose low-fat sources of milk and yogurt, soy beverages, and low fat or no fat is suggested just so to cut back on saturated fats. That's a strong focus in MyPlate. And then just a quick suggestion, replacing sour cream or regular cream with low fat Greek yogurt can be a great substitution. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to move to the MyPlate for diabetes. And again, this was derived from the American Diabetes Association, and this is called Create Your Plate. So as you know, people who have diabetes are at greater risk for heart disease and other chronic conditions. So this plate looks a little bit different than the MyPlate in a couple of different areas. So as you can see, the diabetes plate, the suggestion is to fill half of your plate and focus on non-starchy veggies. So you can see there's a small portion of fruits over to the side. So a smaller portion of fruit throughout your day, and then more of a focus on non-starchy veggies. So some examples are spinach, other green leafy veggies like kale, carrots, cabbage, broccoli, mushrooms, asparagus. Those are all great non-starchy, less carbohydrate veggies, as compared to things maybe like potatoes, corn, and peas. They contain more starch and are higher in carbohydrates. So that's one difference between the MyPlate and the plate for diabetes. In the grain section, you can substitute the word grain for starch. So although beans were included in the protein section of MyPlate, because they're a little bit higher in starch, they're included in the grain or the starch section for people with diabetes. So again, there's a focus on whole grains, cooked beans, sweet potatoes, crackers. Those fall within the grain or the starch section on the diabetes plate. The other small section, protein, the focus is very similar. Lean protein, chicken and turkey without the skin, fish, eggs, low-fat cheese, tofu is all included in the protein section. And I think the biggest difference between MyPlate and then a focus on the plate for people with diabetes, the suggestion is MyPlate is about 3 cups of dairy in a day, as opposed to this plate, the suggestion is 8 ounces of low-fat milk or 6 ounces of a low-sugar yogurt. So the dairy portion in this plate is significantly different than the MyPlate. So just a couple of suggestions before I wrap up and pass this on to Kathi. So if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, there are a couple of suggestions. Start each day with breakfast and then space your meals throughout the day as you feel comfortable. But spacing your meals throughout the day gives your body the chance to produce and to use its insulin and or time for your medications to work, and therefore keeping your energy level up throughout your day. Okay, so we're going to take questions, I believe, at the end of our presentation, but I'm going to pass this along to Kathi.
Okay, good morning. How are you? Welcome to my kitchen and how I'm going to show you all the different food groups in one smoothie. MyPlate in a smoothie. So as we've mentioned and heard, there are different varieties of food groups, different varieties of nutrients found in each food group. One food group cannot provide all the nutrients you need for the day. And with smoothies, you can make probably at least 7 different flavors throughout the week, and you'll never duplicate what you have. So let's take a look at some of the foods that are suggested for protein. some of these foods overlap, as you can imagine. A good source of protein would be this low-fat Greek yogurt. It is in the dairy group, but it's a great source of protein and calcium. So you can use that as a base of your smoothie. Another example of a product that you can use that's a good source of protein is a nut butter. This is peanut butter, but as Sheryl mentioned, you want to check the labels to make sure that you are low in fat. Make sure that there is no added sodium or sugars. It should just be 100% nuts, whether you're using almond butter, peanut butter, any other type of butter. Great source of protein and some healthy fats because it's coming from nuts. Another type of protein source you can use are seeds, chia or flaxseed, healthy fats, protein. And another example of some protein, this is a fruit, an avocado, but it does have about 4 grams of protein in a serving, depending on the size of the avocado. So, and if you use this in your smoothie, you're going to get a great texture, added antioxidants or vitamins, and some minerals. For the smoothie that I'm making, I am going to use low-fat dairy. It's milk. You can also use milk alternatives, such as almond milk, soy milk. They also come flavored. They come unsweetened, flavored in vanilla. Read the labels, check the content of the sodium and the sugars in those products. And another thing you might not have thought of, but you can actually use, because this is a great source, some protein, but fiber. And as we know, fiber and protein will help keep the blood sugar levels from spiking. So if you're using oatmeal in a smoothie, you want to put that in the blender or your food processor first and blend it for a few seconds to refine it, to make it smaller pieces. But now you have oat milk, you can even use that, but great source of fiber and a little bit of protein, depending on the quantity. So here you have a variety of flavors that you can use as a protein base. When you start thinking about the other flavors that you can use in a smoothie, you can use fresh fruit. And again, I would take a look at the sugar content of some of these fruits, but you want to think about all the vitamins that you're getting from these fruits, different colors, different vitamins. Bananas are usually a main staple of a smoothie because of the potassium, the fiber, the nutrients, the vitamins, and the texture. It provides really a lot of texture and flavor to a smoothie. A great source, again, Sheryl has mentioned, you can use frozen berries. You could have a variety of berries in your freezer any time of the year and not worry about the perishables. They come from mangoes, mixed berries, peaches, whatever you can imagine, they're in the freezer section. So they're a great source to have. You can just open the bag, pull them out, and then take what you need and put them back in the refrigerator. So another food that you can introduce in a smoothie, which is really interesting, are greens. You can make a super smoothie and make a savory smoothie by using a variety of vegetables. Leafy greens are great to use. This is spinach, that I'm using in the smoothie today, and it gives you some iron, some calcium, antioxidants. It's not overwhelming in the flavor, so you still have a fruit-like flavor. If you have a variety of vegetables and you want to use them in a different way, put them in a blender, like a smoothie, blend them up, and then put them in a pan and heat them, and you'll have a smoothie soup that you could use throughout instead of saying, what am I going to do with these leftover vegetables? Okay. If you're into seasonal foods, you can try a pumpkin smoothie, which is pretty interesting. Make sure you buy 100% pumpkin because they do make this product in a puree with seasonings and sugar added for a pie. But you can use this. It's a great source of fiber and an excellent source of vitamin A. Put this in the blender. You can use some yogurt with it. You can try the vanilla, low sugar yogurt, or maybe a nut flavored vanilla flavored product. So you put it in the blender and blend it up, but you can also season it with pumpkin pie seasoning, which may be, this product, this brand has cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice, which is a great addition to a fall flavor, or you can use just straight cinnamon. Another, if you want to sweeten your smoothies just a small amount, you can use a natural sugar like maple syrup or your local honey. But make sure if you're going to season it and add the sugar, add the sweetener, you want to add a little bit at a time and then try it to see if it's sweet enough for you. Again, if you're doing a savory, you can use some salt-free seasonings to make a savory smoothie. So what I've done is I put all the ingredients and I blended it a bit because I didn't think you wanted to hear a minute of a blender noise in a food demonstration. So this has been blended. The products that I've used are, I started off with the oats, blended that, added the low-fat milk, then the yogurt, then the berries and the spinach. And I'll blend it for a few seconds and see, get it going. Good to go. Okay. So you can use a blender, you can use an immersion blender, you can use a food processor, whatever you have on hand. But just think about all the nutrients, the fiber, the protein, and the antioxidants or vitamins that you're getting from this product. And here, pour it in a cup and enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay. And I'll turn it back over to everyone. If you have any questions, use the chat and we'll answer them.
Oh, we have many, many questions. Thank you, all three of you, for a wonderful presentation. One of our questions was, where can you register for the classes? It looks like Allie has put something up on the screen. So I'm going to pass right over that and move on to our next question. Another individual was asking where we can get recipes online. So if you can respond to that, that would be great. And then I'm just going to continue to rattle them off. Another one is asking about gluten-free cooking. We also had a question from Carol Hall Walker, who you heard, some of you might have heard present earlier, our division director at Rhode. And she asks, she shares that she's working with the food bank and food pantries and others across the state to incorporate healthier options into our food pantries. Any recommendations on how they can continue to improve these healthier options? So I know that's a lot. I'm going to stop right there and let you guys respond. Thank you.
All right, I'll let Sheryl start with the food bank question.
Yeah, Randy, I would suggest if she can actually print down some copies of the MyPlate. There's the MyPlate website, and they have some great handouts and PDFs that she can make copies of. And even just putting them out at the local food pantries and banks as a suggestion to kind of plan their meals around MyPlate. Another suggestion that I had is any canned items, again, focusing on low sodium and no sodium veggies. And if you're providing fruits, again, canned fruits or frozen fruits at the food pantries and food banks, again, being aware of those fruits that are sitting in any type of a syrup or sugary substance. So focusing on those areas of frozen foods and canned foods, and then maybe putting up some of the MyPlate diagrams so consumers can maybe start planning some of their own foods around that.
Great, thank you.
So to answer the question regarding recipes, the University of Rhode Island SNAP Ed program has a Nutrition to Go monthly newsletter that has some quick recipes. So there's more information on their website. There's also, I mean, the recipes, it's like, where do you end?
Allie, can you share that where you would go for those recipes? Is there a web address for that? Or is that on your screen?
It's not on the screen, but I can share it with you after, maybe. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's the University of Rhode Island SNAP Ed. So if you Google that, they have a nutrition to go program. And I know the SNAP Ed, some of the SNAP Ed folks will be presenting later today. Sheryl or Kathy, do you have any other suggestions for places to find healthy recipes?
I would say the American Diabetes Association and the American Heart Association. I think if you look at those two, there's a lot of recipes specifically for diabetic diets.
And I would suggest the Mayo Clinic. You can subscribe to their recipe newsletters, and they focus on heart health, diabetes. And then there's a link called MyPlate in the Kitchen. And that also encompasses all that we talked about today. And just quickly, Randy, I saw a question come in about the canned sodium, about canned veggies and sodium. Another suggestion, I saw that person say you can't always find low sodium options. By rinsing off your canned veggies, that eliminates almost 40% of the sodium. So if you can't find a low sodium option, just rinse the veggies.
Great, great, thank you. And how about our gluten-free question that came in for someone who's gluten-free? What options are available for them?
I would think that you would have to find gluten-free products that are available, gluten-free bread, gluten-free cereals. There are a lot of products that are sold gluten-free. You have to search them out and read your labels.
Great.
I would suggest too, with those products, the gluten-free products, just to be careful of added ingredients, because a lot of times they're substituting for the lack of taste and they're adding in lots of salt and sodium. So focusing on the gluten-free grains like quinoa, for instance, rice, brown rice, those are good gluten-free options.
Great. Thank you so much. We have another question that's come in asking if we can put this video on the website. And yes, all of these presentations are going to be made available after the fact. And for those of you who are interested in the 6-week program, there's information on the screen. Maybe we can leave that up for a couple of minutes. And I want to thank our presenters for today. Great information that clearly is extremely valuable to our attendees, as evidenced by the questions that have come into the chat. We're going to need to move along with our next portion, but we are trying to take little breaks in between to allow people to grab a drink, a bathroom break. And before we break, I wanted to also let you know about another opportunity that we have through the Department of Health that might be interesting to our participants. It's being offered through the Department of Health in Ripon during the pandemic right now. It's called the Powerful Tools for Caregivers workshops that are going to be starting virtually coming this week. So Powerful Tools is a 6-week group workshop that provides participants with tools and strategies to better handle and cope with the unique challenges of caregiving that are faced when you're caring for a loved one. So the group will meet virtually via Zoom once a week for an hour and a half over a 6-week period. And so you can learn more about Powerful Tools, same place that you would learn about the Healthy Eating 6-week program that our presenters just presented on. It is found by calling the Community Health Network 432-7217 or by visiting www.ripin.org/CHN. And I can also type that into the chat, but it is also on your screen right now as well. It's our Community Health Network, which is the one-stop shop for all of our evidence-based programs, such as Tools for Healthy Living, Powerful Tools for Caregivers. So we encourage all Rhode Islanders to go to the Community Health Network to learn more about our programs, many of which now are being offered virtually. So I'm going to stop right there. I want to thank again our presenters for a great presentation.